March 6th meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us this morning. We're going to begin, as we always do, with an invocation, and my very favorite priest, Father Larry McBride from Holy Name Church, will lead us in prayer. Please stand.
And let us pray. Our good and gracious God, we are thankful for all your many gifts and blessings, for this beautiful day that you give us. We ask you to help us to be wise in making decisions, to seek the good of all in our community. Bless those who have been affected by the flooding. Help them through their neighbors and the community to recover. Bless all those in our community who are hurting in any way, who are in need, those who are often ignored or unseen. Bless our time together today, that it may be a time of sharing wisdom for this county and seeking the best in all that we do. And we ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, Father Larry. I appreciate, on a personal note, you did a very good job with the eulogy and services for my father-in-law. Very much appreciate that, and my family appreciates it too. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Warren is absent. Magistrate Alexander.
Here.
And Magistrate Todd.
Here.
And Magistrate Warren is having some follow-up work done to the illnesses he suffered earlier in the year. Our thoughts and prayers are with him. Hope he is back soon. Gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the February 20th Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, clarifications, additions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you, and it is Judges Scholar time again, and this month's Judges Scholar is Mr. Camden Henshaw from Niagara Elementary School University. My favorite places in the county, and I'd like Camden to join me right up here, and we will read a proclamation in your honor.
Camden Henshaw has been chosen by Niagara Elementary School to be the recipient of the Judges Scholar Award because he made a choice to accept changes that would benefit his education and well-being. And whereas change is not always easy, however, Camden's ability to embrace change has led to growth that will only further his successes in life. And whereas success is measured in many different ways, whether it be passing a test, scoring the winning point, achieving a particular goal, or taking the necessary steps for overall improvement. And whereas the Henderson County school system could not let your efforts go unnoticed, Camden, and Henderson County Fiscal Court supports the school system and acknowledges these changes as being very significant because students such as you are going to be our future leaders. Now, therefore, I, Bride Schneider, County Judge Executive of Henderson, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to proclaim March 6th, 2018 as Camden Henshaw Day.
We got a family and remember Sandy Lee Watkins always referring to Spotsville School as University of Spotsville, and I think there's a shred of truth to that. I think our elementary schools in our county prepare our kids for college or other great things they're going to accomplish in their life, and to be named Judge's Scholar by your peers and teachers at Niagara Camden is a big deal. So we're very proud of you and glad you're here. And you can help fly wingman for the rest of this meeting, okay? Good deal. Speaking of great educational opportunities, we have with us Gunnar Hagen, who's a student in the Kindle Fame program, and I thought it would be good if Magistrate Putman, if you would help me out. Magistrate, would you move that podium back? I forgot to get it. I apologize. Tony Riddy and Whitney Risley from Kindle are here to talk a little bit about Kindle Fame and to introduce Gunnar, to talk a little bit about his experience about a new program that I think is going to help improve workforce capabilities in our county and other things. So, Mr. Riddy, take it away.
Thank you, Judge and magistrates and Madam Clerk. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you in a lot more activities around town now that you have all this free time. So today I wanted to give you a little bit of an update about the Kindle Fame program that started this past September. It's actually been in the works for about a year, but this past September was the first class that was put together. Kindle Fame is a program whereby students graduating from high school, unemployed individuals, underemployed individuals, and incumbent workers have the opportunity to go through a program. It's called the Advanced Manufacturing Technician, where they work 3 days a week and go to school 2 days a week. And at the end of 5 semesters or 18 months, we'll end up with an associate degree in industrial maintenance technology and a certificate in advanced manufacturing technician. The initial cohort, and we call it, it's a cohort because these students go to school together. So the 2 days that they go to school at the community college, they're together all day long and follow the same kind of practices that they would at their job in their sponsor company. We have 6 students this past September, and the companies you can see there, Audubon Metals, Gibbs Die Casting, International Paper, Big Rivers, Hydro Aluminum, and Vibra Acoustic in Union County as well, are all sponsors. And the sponsorship entails allowing the student this participant to work at the company those 3 days a week. They pay them $12 an hour at a minimum for that time worked, and 1/2 of the tuition for the community college. So it's a great program for an area that's in high demand right now in the economic development world, and that's industrial maintenance. So this coming year, our second cohort will be coming into play, and currently we're accepting applications for students as well as companies for sponsorships. And you can see that we have 10 sponsorships available. So we've gone from those 6 companies that we mentioned up to 10. And what we've learned from other communities that have done this, and I might mention that Henderson is the 10th chapter of Fame in Kentucky. And what we've learned from the other 9 is that as we go along, you'll see it proliferate. You'll see the number of sponsorships rise because they see what it is. And some companies actually sponsor more than one participant. So it's very good for them. The Shamrock Technologies and Pioneer Plastics are new ones for us this year. Pioneer Plastics is down by Dixon. So as you can see, it covers all of the 4 counties that we're working in. The deadline for students to apply is up April the 13th. So it's coming up just around the corner. So we want to try to get that word out. And what we found, I want to mention quickly, we have Richie back here from Gibbs, who is part of the sponsorship program. Whitney Risley from our office is the person that works with the community college and administers this program. And so it is my great pleasure right now to introduce to you a Henderson County High School graduate of last year that's been in the program now since September, and ask him to give his thoughts on the program and how it's going for him. So it's my pleasure to introduce Gunnar Hagan.
Hi, my name is Gunnar Hagan, and thank you for the opportunity for me to speak with you this morning. I'm currently going to the Henderson Community College I'm working at Gibbs Die Casting, and I learned about this program through my dad. He actually works at Riverview Coal Mines, and he was come home and he said there was a thing hanging on the board at work, and that's how it all got started for me. Then I applied, then just further on steps, and next thing you know, here I am. So. For me, this has been a great learning experience. For like in the classroom, you can then on the other days you have hands-on. It's a good way to learn, through the books and hands-on. So you can learn it both at one time instead of all books. Then this overall, I think it's a great program for oncoming students because you can learn through hands-on and. Has this impacted my career path? I think this will impact my career path in the long run because instead of a 2-year, it's a 2-year degree, but you get it in 18 months. So, yeah, that's about it.
Gunnar, I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what you want to do with your life yet?
Not exactly, just industrial maintenance, and I may go on for further degrees but for right now, I just want to get my associate's degree in industrial maintenance.
And isn't that one of the, I'm sorry. Isn't that one of the great things about this program as opposed to, we're all familiar with normal apprenticeships here. They've been around a long time. The thing that I think is different about Kindle Fame is the academic component, where at the end of this, you'll have an Associate of Arts degree that you can use to transfer to a 4-year college and go on to do whatever you want to do if that's your choice, or go right to work with the certificate you have in AMT. And that's what my initial thought was for all those parents out there who were worried about locking their kids into a certain career path with an apprenticeship that didn't involve an academic achievement. This gives you a lot of options, don't you think?
Yes, sir.
And you still don't know what you want to do, but at the end of this program, you'll have many more options than if you had just done a regular apprenticeship. So, and did your parents ever worry about that at all, or were they glad that you were going to be able to maybe go to college if you wanted to with what you were doing for the next 18 months?
Yeah, they was glad I got this opportunity. Like I say, it's a 2-year program, but 18 months, and you work while you go, plus you get your school done, so it gives you experience farther on through the job,
And between the tuition subsidy and your pay, theoretically, you could get your Associate of Arts degree with no student debt at the end of the 18 months,
Yes, sir.
which I know in this day and age is pretty remarkable. And I'm sure that's kind of the plan your parents really liked about it. This part of it you really liked, to not having to pay a whole bunch of money and set you off for a better path without being terribly in debt. So how's it going so far? Do you like it?
Yep, it's going really good. This was actually our second semester in this program, and everything's going really smooth. I really enjoy it.
Deal. Proud of you. Any other questions for Gunnar? I know from my past experience, and I know what the Kindle staff is dealing with right now, and that's workforce is a difficult question for us. We have more jobs here in our community than we can fill, especially very skilled jobs, which pay a lot of money, $20 and up for skilled positions such as the one you're going to be getting certificates for. What are the odds, do you think, that this program will give you to actually stay here in Henderson and work where maybe as otherwise you would have had to leave to find a better job?
It would make my odds better because I'm already got experience with Gibbs Die Casting, so that opens a door, I would say, for jobs in the community. Plus, it already gives me experience for a job around here, so for a good paying job. So.
Excellent. And I'd ask the Representative Gibbs if you wouldn't mind coming up too, talk a little bit about how it's gone from Gibbs's perspective so far. Gunnar, do you mind?
It's gone it's gone great for us. It's Gunner's been just a perfect student and kid. When we did the interview process up at community college and listened to all the kids talk, and of course Gunner was our #1 pick, and I felt that way because he didn't have a lot of experience or any experience really in the maintenance or technical side, but you could see he wanted that. And as you know, like you said, the workforce now, we're having to struggle to find technical people who want to be into maintenance and stuff. So you got a young man, and our workforce is getting older. I mean, I guess I'm going to be honest here. I've been at Gibbs 45 years, not going to be there much longer. and I got a lot of guys that's retiring at 40 and 45 years now. So, you know, these young men like this that come in
and ladies
want to learn.
Yeah.
And you know, it's great. So hopefully we're going to reach out and grab 3 this year. So I think 2 or 3. So hopefully we get the same results and everything. Gunner wants to learn. He's dependable. He's respectful. And guys they've taken him under their wing just like a little brother or something, and they love him. So he's going through I've got him basically with the maintenance group now. He's learning to weld. He's learning to fabricate. He's learning to build machines, installations. We're learning his start on hydraulics here pretty soon with the blueprints, and he'll move over to the electrical department after that. So he'll get a full array of everything that happens into the fields, because all fields are cross-training now. So he's going to get this in this 18-month period, and it's good. So I thank FAME. I thank everybody here for us having this opportunity to get these young guys and reach out there and find them, and it's good for us. It's going to be good for the corporate group.
And I know the staff at Kindle would say that they appreciate more than anything the company's willing to pitch in and do this, because what people may not understand is these companies have committed to these FAME positions, say 2 or 3 like you do, and when Gunner gets done, the point is not to say we like Gunner, we're going to hire Gunner. We got what we needed out of FAME.
For their life, we can get them, and they stay. We've earned, we gained a good resource for our companies.
The other thing I think this drives home is that modern day manufacturing, which is booming here for many reasons, is also driven by technological advances.
Right.
And if you are not skilled, your job will be eventually replaced by technology. Mm-hmm. And so skilled workforce is even more important than ever.
Yes, it is.
And Gunner's getting that education, and FAME promotes that sort of skill set, and it's only a positive. So I thought it'd be good for you to hear this and to understand what companies in our community are really doing to help us solve this workforce problem and challenge, I should say, and how Kindle's involved and how great companies like yours are involved and great young people like Gunner are taking the chance. So thanks. And again, I'll open up to any questions anybody has.
I might ask Tony, is there a cap on how many students that can apply, and how many is the max that the companies are the sponsors in the cohort program?
There's no limit on it. We're limited at the community college of having the instructors to be able to do that. But I can tell you that over at Bluegrass, Toyota currently has 65 participants in the program.
Great. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Gunner, too, by the way.
Make sure I get that on the record. The question was, is there any limit? And there's not. It's only limited by the amount of students, the capacity, the community college, and the company's willing to step
the
out.
instructor is an issue, too, if I understood
Right.
Tony correctly. You don't want to load up one instructor that can't properly do
Demand
what
could drive the hiring of more instructors.
There you go.
I also want to say this is not to denigrate or weaken the existing apprenticeship programs. There are several unions have very positive apprenticeship programs. This is just another one, and the difference with this one is this academic component that allows graduates to then transfer to four-year schools and have an option. So thank you for coming here today and sharing that with us. We look forward to hearing progress, and any companies that are interested in joining in, please contact Tony. And any of you parents out there who have students who are close to graduating and might find this very interesting and helpful, please contact Kindle about how to get enrolled.
And exactly what you heard today is what's going to sell the program in the future. In fact, Whitney has had one of our other participants go to Webster County schools and talk give this experience. And as you heard, once the companies start to really drive this, it's really going to take off very well. So thank you for that time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, I'd like to ask Chris Winstead to come forward. And you're going to talk to us a little bit about a new ambulance they're going to be bidding on.
Yes, what we're doing is just asking for permission, I guess, for the court for us to advertise for bids for a new 2018 Type 1 ambulance. We're looking at probably bidding a four-wheel drive Chevrolet diesel, and a Type 1 is the truck where the truck's totally out front. It's not a van cutaway, to where it might be that the city or county in the future, after ambulance is took out of service, could be of use instead of as currently now we trade them in or do a trade-in and get very little back out of them, as maybe a way to use that vehicle later, maybe with the road department or street department or something. But that's what we're asking to do.
And this ambulance is within your budget?
Yes.
You budgeted for it. I think Chris wanted to come today to make sure that we all know that they're going to bid it out as we would expect if it were our piece of equipment, and just to get our blessing. I don't know if it's something we need to take a vote on, other than if there's anybody that objects to them utilizing normal bid prospects to do this.
Right, and we will probably bring it back the first, probably your first meeting in April, submit our recommendation to be accepted or not.
Any questions of Chris about that?
Don't we normally get a grant from the state on some
We
of
get
that?
$10,000, and we've already got that. So we'll have $10,000 to go toward the purchase. I think we budgeted $160,000 total. So I expect we'll come in under budget. I'll make sure we do that. So. But yes, we'll get a $10,000 grant for purchase.
Okay. Barring any other questions, thank you very much, Chris. We look forward to that.
Thank you.
And speaking of how the county would bid it out if we were doing it, I'd like to call Bill Hubiak up to talk a bit about a piece of equipment he's going to be asking for bids on.
Yes, Judge, I'd like to ask Fiscal Court today for approval to go out for bid for a single-axle dump truck. This is a budgeted item in the road department new equipment line item this year. We kind of held off on this to see how things were going with everything, but it's time that we go ahead and spec it out and get the order in before the end of this fiscal year. We went and looked at several different types of units out there right now, so we're going to spec a generic type truck to see what kind of bids that we receive in. We at one time had standardized the whole fleet with GMCs with Caterpillar engines, and as everybody knows, here in the past, the Caterpillar decided not to proceed with meeting the emission control standards for that engine in the United States, so it was no longer available. At that time, we changed gears and went for a upgrade of trucks to for longer longevity in life than the previous type trucks, and GMC quit making that series. So we stepped up to the Kenworths. We have 2 tandem axles and 1 single axle truck of those types. So we, since it's been several years since we had purchased a new vehicle, we decided to look at a generic bid to see what options are out there for us to decide which way we want to go.
Any questions for Bill? Again, budget item and exploratory, if nothing else. And we will need to entertain a motion to allow Bill to take this out to bid.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions of Mr. Hubiak? Please take a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Pittman.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. As you all know, very aware, we've had quite a challenge dealing with flooding in our county in the last 2 weeks, and I thought it would be appropriate for Larry Kerber to come and give us an update on briefly on what's transpired up till now, what we can expect in the next couple weeks. And so, Mr. Kerber, why don't you give us a quick quick update and briefing.
It's quick. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and kind of give a recap of what's going on with the flooding. On February the 23rd at noon, we issued a state of the emergency. Water went over the road over the Highway 60 East at 11 p.m. Saturday night, February the 24th. U.S. Highway 60 East was closed at 11 p.m. on the 24th. State Highway Department closed the Green River Bridge at Spotsville and at the Henderson-Davis County line. Command post was set up on Sunday, February the 25th, at the intersection of Highway 60 East and Highway 811 at Bills. Myself and Kenny Garrett, my deputy, were incident commanders. Phil Stevens, who is fire chief at Reed, and Nick Risley, who is fire chief at Spotsville, were in charge of operations. At the command post, we were at EMA, we were there to support operations. Volunteer fire department personnel were there for manpower. Rescue squad provided 2 boats and rescue operations. Sheriff's Department had 1 boat, 2 military high water vehicles, rescue and provided security. We really appreciated that. Kentucky Department of Transportation manned both checkpoints at the Highway 60 Spotsville Bridge and at the at the Henderson County, Davis County line, and these operations were 24 hours. Red Cross opened 1 shelter on Monday, February 26th at the Gathering Place. On Thursday, March the 1st, the shelter was relocated to the Community Baptist Church. Salvation Army provided 3 hot meals per day to the command post, to the Red Cross shelter, and to the Kentucky Department of Transportation at checkpoint personnel. Total meals provided were approximately 550. The rescue squad and the Sheriff's Department made 25 responses and evacuated 73 people, either rescued or evacuated. Over 40 agencies were involved in the event, including all 10 volunteer fire departments. The total rainfall for the event was approximately 6 inches. Sandbagging operations were conducted at the detention center using inmates to fill the sandbags for public pickup. The County Road Department delivered approximately 17,000 sandbags and 6 dump trucks full of sand to the jail for sandbagging operations. The command post received over 150 cases of bottled water from volunteer fire departments for our residents as they returned to their homes to find what they needed the water because some of the contamination to the wells, and there's many wells out in that area. Local residents donated food to the command post for the responders, and these were anything from cookies to slab of ribs. I mean, it was great public support. The command post was manned 24 hours a day for 2 to 15 responders there all the time, and they logged in excess of 3,000 man hours. The Red Cross set up a distribution point at the command post for their distribution of cleanup kits. During the recovery phase, the Red Cross provided comfort and cleanup kits to the returning residents. Residents were cautioned to have their well water tested for possible contamination, and I believe the health department will be able to assist in that. In the days to come, to look for possible mold that could start with floodwaters may infiltrate into their residence. Residents were also cautioned to be alert for varmints that may have entered residence to seek shelter from the flooding. Some varmints that may have entered homes included, but were not limited to, snakes, possum, raccoons, mice, rats, squirrels, and did I mention snakes? Area impacted included everything east of the Green River to the Davis County line, approximately 51.45 square miles, or 32,928 acres were impacted by the event, including approximately 800 residents. The Ohio River crested on Thursday, March the 1st at 46.85 feet at Evansville. The flood stage at Evansville is 42 feet. Highway 60 East was reopened to normal traffic at approximately 12 noon Monday, March the 5th, with high water signs at one location to protect people. There was a little bit of water, maybe 1 or 2 inches across there, but high water signs were put up and people were cautioned to take it easy going through those areas. Many side roads remain covered with water and will be for most of the week. We did have one unfortunate incident that happened there. We have, and I didn't put the date down, but we had a fire during this period of time, and the gentleman got out of he was there by himself. He got out of the house. He went around the back to turn off the propane to his house to avoid that hazard. And as he did, he slipped and fell in the ditch. And unbeknownst to him, he lost his cell phone in the ditch. He got out and went to his truck, realized that he didn't have any way to communicate with anybody. This was at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he sat there for 2.5 hours and watched his house burn down. And that was tough. The other ironic thing about it is that this was the Reed Fire Department's assistant chief's dad. And the other thing was he was within sight of the fire department, and they couldn't get there because of the water. All agencies, paid or volunteer, worked extremely well together with full cooperation from all participants. This is the day 12 of the event, and we have converted now from response mode into recovery mode. Damage assessment will be conducted as the water recedes and access is made available. As of today, there were no injuries to first responders during this entire event. Any questions?
Larry, I know we don't have the numbers in on this thing, but are you anticipating any of this be covered under the FEMA?
We don't know yet. We have to wait for the water to go down and see how many individual residents were affected. What we're finding, of course, is that in many cases, the residents, and that's all we look at as far as damage is concerned. We don't look at detached garages or grain bins or anything like that. So in many cases, their houses are built up and they're above the water line. You just couldn't get to them. You couldn't get in, couldn't get out, but it was up there. So the damage, there was no damage to those houses. There were others that maybe a mobile home or something where the water got up to the floor of the mobile home, and that's considered a total loss. So we have different things we're looking for as we do the damage assessment. And like I said, right now there's many homes that are available that we can get to, but there are many that are still impassable to get through the water to get to the high residence. So I don't know. We'll have to see. No, Bill is working on the county roads and so on, and see what infrastructure, expense there. And we're looking at residential expenses. We have to find out if people have insurance, how much, and so on and so forth. That all goes into the calculation as to whether or not we meet the threshold. Bill, you got anything on
that? As of right now, that's why we didn't have the road department committee meeting this morning. Water's over a lot of the roads still. We have done some damage assessment in District 3 mainly, where the flash flooding of last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, caused some severe damage in the Sulphur Springs, John Tap, White Lick Road area. We were out there assessing those roads yesterday. You also know about Evelyn Hancock that had a failure, and the road was actually taken out, the asphalt. So we're currently looking at all these, taking our pictures and documenting, trying to see what we can go back with as soon as possible as far as what kind of a structure we can go back with. We want to be very careful what we do because dealing with FEMA, we want to make sure we follow everything that count toward the guidelines of going towards meeting the threshold. So that's why one of the reasons we've been a little bit hesitant and jumping right in and trying to fix something immediately without making sure it meets their guidelines and restrictions. Because if we can achieve that threshold, that's greatly to our advantage. So.
And the point is that long way to go yet. Water's still receding, maybe some time before we can fully assess.
And one of the other things that I spoke with the judge yesterday afternoon, and I'm sure he's going to want to make an official announcement, but when we get a chance to look at assisting the removal of damage, debris damage from the households and stuff. So I've been talking with Nancy Watkins on that and see what we can do in placing up points where we can possibly pick up the materials and help out the residents in the communities as the water goes down.
To expand on that a bit, what Bill's talking about is things like damaged furniture, damaged siding. We're a little bit concerned about how we can help people dispose of those things properly instead of just burning them, which in some cases they're really not allowed to do, or perhaps just dumping them someplace that we don't want them to. We'd have to clean it up anyway. So we're working together to see what we can provide to help people dispose of that debris that can't legally be burned and needs to be disposed of correctly. So more news about that soon. We're working with Davis County, which has the landfill that we must take these items to now. We don't have our own landfill anymore, so that's an X factor there. There's a cost involved there, but I think we can work out a good deal, as it were. They have the same problem we do in Davis County, disposing of these things. So there'll be more news about that soon.
Larry, residential dwelling, people, are they in tune, or are they aware of what FEMA may be able to do for them in the event they have this dam? I mean, is that communicated pretty well to the average guy?
It is pretty well, but you don't want to say it, don't promise anything we can't back up. And
right.
There's a lot of detail that goes into whether FEMA will even consider our damage in the big picture. So it's really hard. We do the best we can by letting people know, and particularly at the checkpoints. Right now, the Red Cross has got two distribution places, one at the Reed Volunteer Fire Department and the other at the Bills Highway 60 intersection there. Those 2 points of distribution, residents can go up there to get these kits, get shovels, rakes, whatever.
Cleaning kits, right?
Cleaning kits, yes. Yeah. And so it's hard to know that everybody got the word, but we don't even know if we're going to qualify.
Yeah, but to qualify, you got to hit the threshold, and is all that kind of tallied up? If I had the damage that would go towards that threshold.
We're working with Bill. We keep all of these things like manpower or overtime and so on. Anything in excess of normal operations is being kept separate to go toward this threshold that we have to meet before we'll get even any consideration from reimbursement from FEMA or state or whatever.
It might be a good idea. I think Magistrate Putman is trying to say that it might be a good idea to utilize the media or media partners and to communicate what homeowners need to be thinking about as they clean up. Is that correct, Magistrate Putman?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I'm sorry I had to stretch that out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I know there's got to be some forms and stuff that you would have to fill out to submit to some agency, and I guess the communication part's what I was getting to, this as to how an individual would go about doing that. And it sounds like this isn't your first rodeo. I know from 2011 that.
But now's the time to be doing it.
That's
Yeah.
what we said. This isn't the first one we've had. Every flood is the same, and every one is different, because there's always some twists in there that we may not be completely ready for. Kenny, do you have anything you want to add?
I do appreciate, I know we all appreciate the cooperative effort of all the agencies that responded. I know they've done this before, and it showed. Quickly moving in once the decision was made to declare a state of emergency, which we're still under, by the way. We haven't rescinded that yet. And taking care of people in Reed Beals. I really appreciate the first responder community, the volunteer fire departments, the sheriff's office, KYTC, all working together really well to quickly respond once we pulled the trigger. It was amazing to see, and I really appreciate their efforts. And I appreciate you being here today. We look forward to further updates.
All right, and I
We're working
appreciate
together.
your presence out at the scene. It gave morale boost to listen to concerns that were happening right at that time. So your participation and visibility out there was a big help. I appreciate it. And for the rest of the magistrates, we're going to have an after-action report or after-action meeting to go over those things, and you guys are going to be invited to that meeting if you'd like, just to hear what went on and what maybe we can do better.
Good deal. Thank you. And
Thank you, Larry.
In addition to Larry Kerber's update, thought it would be great to have Sheriff Brady join us and talk about some of the things his department did, not only as they would normally do, but utilizing some of the new technology they have to help in this effort. So, Sheriff?
Thank you, Judge. This is not necessarily about our department. It's about a group effort out there. I cannot, if you'll start our video, we got about a 3-minute video that those of you who did not get out there, we can kind of show you what the people were facing out there. This is from Spotsville. This is with the drone that the Sheriff's Department was able to purchase going east toward Beals and Reed. The volunteer fire chiefs, the volunteer fire departments, and they're unbelievable. The hours they put in, the efforts they put in, how many times they got in a boat, the rescue squad. Keith Berry from the Sheriff's Department operated our boat, was in the water for hours bringing people out. And these are dangerous waters. There's shallow water, there's deep water, there's currents, there's fences just under the surface that you got to watch. We're coming up now to 811 and 60. There at Beals, right below us, coming toward the bottom of the screen is where the command post was set up. We'll get a better shot of that in just a second. The Kentucky State Police helped man the barricades there on US 60 to keep people out. That's our command post now. We're going out on 811 toward Beals. If you've been out that way, you can see all the homes and buildings that were flooded. Our detention center and also our Davis County Jail brought inmates over. They filled almost 10,000 sandbags, which kept us from having to do that labor. You'll see a lot of those sandbags in these videos where these people got these sandbags for free and helped protect their property. There's the store, bottom center at Beals. They stayed open until water came into the building. They helped any way they could. They were instrumental in helping out in that area. Continuing east, you can see some more of the flooding. In just a moment, you're going to see the Sheriff's Department boat coming in with a hospice patient, which had to be evacuated. And the problem with this, or the challenge with this is it took the boat about an hour to get to his house and about an hour to get back. You can't take a straight shot. You've got to zigzag through the deeper water to keep from grounding out. That's the Sheriff's Department boat coming in with the hospice patient. And they were gone about 2 hours just for that one person. So the equipment, part of the reason we're showing this, people wonder, well, why do you have a boat or why do you get military equipment? It's for situations like this, because a lot of our transportation, I'd say 90% of our transportation was in military vehicles because other vehicles weren't tall enough. This is the boat coming in behind houses and around trees to stay in the deep water. They got the hospice patient out here at the store, loaded him into a vehicle, took him up to Highway 60 where an ambulance was waiting, and then he was transported into the hospital by ambulance. But it's about a 2.5-hour operation total just for this one person. You could just back your vehicle right down and use the road as a boat ramp. This is the transportation of multiple families coming out. The front boat you see up there is a rescue squad. The bottom boat here at the bottom of the frame is the Sheriff's Department boat. They brought 11 people out on one transport between two boats. So there were a lot of people that wanted to stay, and finally they just said to say, this is too much, we can't do it. I can't say enough for the people of Beals, how tough they are, how resilient they are. That's their home. They're loyal to their home, and that's where they want to be. But you can see the boat, rescue boat, is just full of people, families, as they bring them out from the high water. Here they are bringing them up to the Beals area near the command post and unloading everyone. I think the drone proved very helpful in this to understand the scope of the flooding. This is one of our military vehicles through the backwater. It's the only way to get around. We could go through Highway 60 long after most other vehicles. Farmers out there donated diesel fuel, donated other materials to us. The farmers pitched in. Anything we wanted, they're there. That's just the way this community is out there. I'd just like to say I couldn't be prouder of a community and of a community's response than I am of this. It was everybody pitching in. For those of us who have ever questioned the volunteer fire departments, they're champions. Those people just stay and help, and you never can ask enough of them. And it couldn't have been done without them, but I think there's a lot of other agencies too. I don't want to leave anybody out that made this a successful operation. The people out there are going to move back in. That's their home. Are there any questions that you have of me? We did man the command post 24/7 for security. We want to be sure that people were not coming in through the backwater and stealing from people. I'm not aware of reports of looting. Are you, David? I'm not aware of any reports. We may have heard something when people go back to their homes and see they've got something missing. But just the police presence there is is a detriment to or deterral for people to go out and try to steal things. Hopefully the losses are going to be very low as far as theft goes. Proud of our people. I'm proud of everybody that worked on this detail.
Good job.
Wasn't a single person we asked, including you guys, that the answer wasn't automatically yes. We can do that. Let's do it. Let's take care of the people out there. So thank you all, too, for your support.
It was interesting that our initial application for a little help from the National Guard was not successful. Obviously, everything's happening all over the state, and maybe they were spread a little thin. But your staff's presence, I think, helped control the safety situation. And ironically, I think the presence of those military surplus vehicles gave some people maybe the appearance the National Guard was there, and might have warned off a couple of people who were thinking of doing bad things. So,
well, and that's why I'm asking for a helicopter next time. I promise that'll never be requested.
I'll get you a bigger drone. How about that? Anyway, I do think that psychologically and realistically, the presence of the Sheriff's Department was very important, both in manpower and equipment. And I know that the volunteer fire departments felt the same way, and that collective effort made a huge difference. Very little loss of property. Thankfully, very little injury. I think that speaks to the effort.
From my department standpoint, I'd like to thank Colonel David Kraft and Lieutenant Keith Berry. They coordinated 90% of this. They were out there a lot. I was out there some, but they were out there a lot. They were keeping me posted so I could keep the judge and others posted. And I'd just like to say thank you to them. They put in a lot of hours, a lot of phone calls, a lot of late nights making sure these things were coordinated. So I'm proud of our county.
And important to note, we're not done yet. There's a long way to go yet.
We're still going to be there for a while.
So
yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Ed. All these alarms going off, it makes me worry. There's some more stuff happening out there. We need to... It's not over yet. Thanks again to everybody who pitched in. I know several members of our first responder community are in the room right now, and you have our greatest respect and admiration. And as we continue to work this, we'll need it even more. So thanks again for everybody. The state of emergency, ironically, gave us a chance to test out one of the features of our new county website, our kind of flashing notice at the top of the homepage. And I thought it would be good at this point, now that we've launched this website, to have Brent Jacobs, our IT director, give the court a briefing on this new website, which is now up and going. It includes hosting websites for the county attorney and the planning commission and other departments. And if you haven't leafed through it yet or run through it yet, I thought Brent might give us a quick update on it, a tour. And know that this is a work in progress, and we're counting on the community to use it, work through it, and if you run into dead ends or mistakes or things we could do better, to let us know. But Brent, why don't you give us a quick update?
Yeah, basically here's our new website. After about a year of work, it's live. Basically, it's all our information, but it looks new, and there's more information there than was on the old website. The community can actually make an account, and they'll get updates when we update. Like when I did the emergency alert for the state of emergency, it'll email you. Like when I post an agenda, it'll notify the people of agendas. It'll do a lot more than our old website. We have our agendas and minutes, just like we did on the old website. You can go to Fiscal Court, and you can see the videos just like you could before on our YouTube site. We have lots of helpful information for the different departments: vehicle inspections, registrations, permits, job openings. As the departments have job openings, we will post them here. And if you're looking for a job, you can sign up with the website, and it'll notify you when there's a job opening. You can fill out the volunteer fire department opt-out form on the website.
That's one of many forms that are available online now.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're adding them daily.
Of course, we hope nobody uses that form very often, right, Chief? Yeah.
We have different images that'll show on our rotation.
So I think it's better looking. One of the major factors is now responsive design, which means it presents well on any device. You don't have to pinch and scroll. If you're accessing it on a phone or a tablet, we hope there are even more links to community services in there, more online forms, easier use. It took some expense off the attorney's office and planning commission that they were having to spend on their own websites. One of the things we have featured prominently is the HART database that Mr. Gold's office and Kyle Evans supports, so people have quarterly updates on our county budget and how it's doing, as well as lots of other bits of information. Unfortunately, we had to migrate everybody's picture over from the old site, so if you're not happy with it, provide us a new one, and we will fix it. But I think it's a much better representation of our community and our county. And again, we're hoping that people use this and give us feedback on its ease of use and places where we can update it. And I know that Brent is going to work hard in partnership with us and the department heads to keep it up to date, keep it fresh, keep the news top of mind, and any other developments that go on related to the departments available there online. In conjunction with our Facebook page, we hope it ends up being a really good information source for our community. And so, again, please use it, scroll through it, and if you find dead ends or links that don't work or old information, please let us know.
Yeah, and please create an account on the website, and you'll get the updates as we push them out.
And we will continue to solicit better images of the county. We tried to pick representative things that show us in the best light and are interesting, but we can always do better, and it's easy to flop pictures out. So if you're a good photographer or no one who'd like to submit a free photo we can use to help show off Henderson County even more, please have them send it to Brent, and we'll put it in the rotation. There is a handy street strut picture in there that rotates through. So, any questions about the website? It's obviously a work in progress.
Well, the big difference between it was before this, our prior website, and everybody's kind of attached to their iPhone, iPads, and everything. You couldn't access this, the website, on my iPhone.
not well.
It was cumbersome.
You could get
You
to the
couldn't
home-
you couldn't
You could get to the homepage,
but you couldn't get to
navigating-
the drop boxes or anything. It
Right.
it didn't work well. And this is like the Cadillac compared to
It's
that.
much better.
Well, yeah.
Much easier. And we appreciate you allowing us to do that last year and get that underway. And I think so far I've been happy with the results, and the Civic Plus, the company we're working with, has been responsive to our needs and questions, and they will continue to be, we hope, and hope that helps us put our best foot forward and provides great, consistent, up-to-date information to the community. Any other questions? Thank you, Brent. Appreciate it. And if you ever have a question about the website, please contact Brent. Gentlemen, you have in your packets a bit of good news and a bit of action we need to take. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and the governor have approved $500,000 from the governor's discretionary fund to help us expand and rebuild Ohio Drive to make it safer and much more utility. This is in addition to an EDA grant, which we're currently applying for, a federal grant, to help us cover even more of the expense of Ohio Drive. And it's good news to get this support from the Bevin administration and KYTC. I really appreciate working with Bill Hubiak to make an extensive application for this money. We were told on more than one occasion it was one of the best, most thorough applications for discretionary funds they'd ever gotten. But also, in addition to that, the project is completely appropriate for that sort of funding. So we do require the passing of a resolution accepting the money. And again, we will utilize this for what we need to do to help finish the project. Hopefully the EDA grant will provide us a substantial amount more. And if we don't need the whole $500,000, terrific. But if we do, we'll have it there when we need it in a reimbursement form. So any other questions about that of Bill or anybody?
I'll just,
Doesn't require a matching.
I've discussed it with some of the state officials that allowed this to happen, and they talked about the application of Bill and the judge, and I want to thank both of y'all for really buckling down. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, and as tight as money is, we were really lucky and got a...
Well, I will tell you this, it's nice to see that our state government does this with a level playing field anymore. It's done by a point system. You get points based on your project in all different categories, and it kind of takes the politics out of it a little bit, and I think that's a great way to do things, so it's done on merit and benefit, and that's how I think that should be done. So they've made some changes up there, and that's one of the reasons we were able to get it, I think, is because of the point system. So.
Again, the project's going to be about a $2 million project by the time it's all said and done, in that neighborhood. We're applying for EDA funding to help us with the leftover, and hopefully we won't have to plug in too much of our own money to get it done, but this $500,000 is great good news.
This also goes with our theme of helping existing industries, because I don't know how many people this touch, but it's a lot of jobs out there that this touches and makes it safety and makes people want to come in and deliver goods. So like I said, our theme is if we can't get new industry necessarily, we want new, but we're taking care of who we have, and that's important.
Well, it is a safety issue for the thousands of people who work on Ohio Drive. If you don't realize how many people work back there, it's an amazingly surprising number. And we've already gotten commitments from Audubon Metals to expand based on their knowledge that we are going to help them with Ohio Drive, and we hope that leads to other announcements too, more jobs on that corridor. It's an unusual situation in that when that area was developed, whoever developed it may not have ever imagined that size and level of activity was going to exist on Ohio Drive, because it wasn't built to industrial specifications back when it was first developed. We're having to go back and fix this now, but it has developed in amazing ways, and so many people work back there, so much truck traffic, which is part of the safety issue. And so it is a great economic development asset, as well as something we have to address for the safety reasons. So thanks again. If there aren't any other questions, I'll have...
Judge, I have reviewed the agreement with the state, and it's approved as to form and legality.
Thank you. And I'll just have, if you don't mind, the clerk read the summary at the top. It's just an agreement to accept this money and to keep track of how we spend it. submit that back to state.
Resolution adopting and approving the execution of a memorandum of agreement between Henderson County Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Department of Highways in the amount of $500,000 for the Ohio Drive project.
Entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll have Treasurer Brenda Ryder come up and update us on claims.
I have 4 claims from the general fund. The first one in the amount of $1,080.60. This is to Visa for sheriff conference and training expenses. The second in the amount of $690.60 to Visa for judge conference and training expenses and fiscal court conference and training expenses. From the road fund in the amount of $57,301.92. This is to Kenergy, and this is for the electrical service being run at the Sandy Lee Watkins Park for the community building there. This was part of a transfer which you approved back in December of moving $120,000 from the contracted construction line to the parks supplies line, which is all in the road fund. The last is in the grants fund in the amount of $11,250 from the Warm Center grant checking to the grants fund checking. This is a housekeeping issue that needs to be done to reclass a prior year posting from this fund.
Those are all, the first 3 were budgeted items, the last one's a flow through.
Yes, sir.
Any questions about any of those?
I make a motion, we pay the claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you. That brings us to the good of the county. If anybody in the audience would like to address the court on any subject, we welcome. Sheriff Brady.
Judge, I'm sorry I didn't leave somebody out. I also want to thank the Henderson Fire Department dive team. They came out and helped us get some people out of home. And of note, the county and city spent a lot of money on a new radio system. And that thing worked like a champion out there. I don't know in the old system if we'd have had direct contact with the people out in the boats once they got very far away. But my experience out there was the radios were crisp and clear, and the signal was good, and it enhanced the safety aspect of it tremendously. So I think that system's going to be absolutely an asset. And they don't have the tower out there yet that they're getting ready to build, which will make it even better. So radio system, I think, got an A on this operation.
That's really good to hear. I know we'll have a chance to thank a lot of people, but Butch, please pass our compliments along to Salvation Army.
Will do.
They did a
Will
great
do,
job.
Judge.
Mr. McCullum.
I watched your all's meeting last week, or 2 weeks ago, and you're talking about subsidizing the fire plugs, water plug, and that may be a good idea, but we've been through that before. And if you do start subsidizing it, the people that have paid for it aren't going to like the fact that you've got your builders. They're ordered to put, whenever they build the property, they've got to put those in. They cost money. So you need to think about all that, and also about where you financially are. I know you're doing pretty well, comparatively speaking, where you were. But I really think you ought to think about going through and all the assets that you all have. How old are they? When they're going to need to be replaced? All the roads, all the bridges, they don't last forever. The roofs, the buildings themselves. And Sandy and I sat down and did it, started working on that. We got to $26 million in future cost, and we didn't even get started. So you got to look at what you need and how much money. Right now, people think $6 million is everything. $24 million budget. You really need to think and see where you are. I would encourage you to think about those things. And although it sounds nice, we looked at that. Bill, we had somebody came. They wanted us to do it out by where the strip mines were, and they came in, and several people, they wanted a fire hydrant. It would take over 100. They talk about we pay taxes. Their taxes they paid would take over 100 years just to pay for the fire hydrant. The part that goes to the county, I mean, what's ours, 8-point-something percent, or is it up to 10% now? It was 8.6, I think, percent of the whole tax bill was to the county at that time. I know it's up a little bit now, but if it's going to take 100 years, and then they're not, those group of people are not paying anything towards the sheriff's office, anything else that you all do in providing for the community. So just want you to think about those kind of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience like to speak for the good of the county? Magistrate Putman.
Thank you, Judge. Camden, just congratulations, man. You come from an awful good school out there in Niagara, and I know you got family and friends and that's here today that probably are amazed at your performance to be selected out of the entire school as the judge's scholar. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me for you, believe it or not. I'm very proud of you. Continue the good work, and I know there's great things in your future, without a doubt. And I do want to just applaud all agencies involved in this emergency. I think they worked hand in hand. I guess I didn't hear any glitches. It seemed like everything was pretty smooth. And I will pass on to the Salvation Army judge that is what their contribution. So all good in the fourth.
I didn't plan it this way, but every time I came to the command post, I happened to catch the Salvation Army dropping off lunch or dinner. Never ate myself, but it always seemed that way. But so I had a chance to say thank you to the captain or major who was dropping it off. I think their attitude was great, and they were very helpful.
Well, thank you very much.
Master Alexander.
First of all, Camden, I wanted to, Mr. Putnam, he talked about that Niagara School. I've heard a lot of good things about Niagara School. It's supposed to be an outstanding school, so you are an outstanding person from an outstanding school, which is really big. That's big. And I'm proud of you, and I'm sure your parents are too. And I hope you do well. You got a good start, good family. That shows because you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Magistrate Wilkerson.
Camden, congratulations. I know you come from a good family because your mom worked for me whenever she was in high school. Now, your uncle over here, I don't know. But congratulations.
Master Todd.
Camden, congratulations. And I can say that both my kids, son and daughter, went to Niagara, and they turned out well, I'd say. And it is a great school, and I know your parents and grandparents are proud of you, and we're proud of you, and look forward to going out to eat with you. So pick a good spot. And y'all
Mr. Gold.
Camden, congratulations. Just looking at the smiles beaming from that first row has been really cool, because you can tell that you're surrounded by a lot of love and a lot of people that are proud of you, and that's probably one of the keys to why you've been so successful, and I hope you continue to be successful into your future. I know that you will. I know sometimes what we do here to a fifth grader can seem kind of boring. But we talked about some really important stuff today, and the things that your county's doing for you, and I hope that you continue to be involved in it, seeing the things about responding to floods and emergencies and how everybody comes together, and then looking at young people like we did with the Kindle Fame program about how to create new opportunities as the world changes. The future-oriented thinking that we try to do here is really important, and we need young voices like yours to somehow tell us about those things that are going to be important to you in the future. So come back and tell us what's important to you, okay? So other than that, all good, Judge.
Thank you. Camden, congratulations. Congratulations, your family and the school. Is this your older brother by chance? Okay, I'm an older brother, so I know how this goes. I want you to remember that every time you think about picking on him, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but if you think about picking on your younger brother, he is a judge's scholar, so that means he's going to have my cell phone number at his disposal. So don't mess with your younger brother. Be proud of your younger brother and treat him well. And that doesn't give you license to pick on your older brother either, but just get along. Is that helpful, I hope? Yeah. Thanks again to all the first responders. I can't say that enough. This was my first experience as a judge with a state of emergency, with a natural disaster, a chance to see how the processes work. And I must say that it's obvious to me that the people who do this, either for a living or on a volunteer basis, know what they're doing. It was impressive to see the cooperation, and I know that on a grand scale, this is a relatively small. It could have been much worse. It can be worse. For a while there this week, it was very odd. It's like we had one universe here on this side of the green, going on about our business as we always did, working 8 to 5 and going home, and then on the opposite side of the green, it was Armageddon. Nobody's home. Military, sheriff deputies and police, and it's a very odd little universe we lived in there for a week, but the people who were responsible for caring for their fellow Henderson Countyans were on the job, on the mark, and I very much appreciate that, both because we're partly responsible for that and also because I have friends who live over there, and I know that they were well taken care of, and very glad to see that. We're going to have a lot to do in the coming weeks in cleanup and recovery, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. We're going to be staying in close communication with the court and the media as to what could happen for folks next, what needs to happen next, what everybody's going to be doing next, and we'll try to do that as professionally and smoothly as possible, but I will need your help and input, and we're going to be asking for your help and input. We're going to have an after-action meeting in a couple weeks to discuss those things. In the meantime, please keep the lines of communication open with the judge's office and fiscal court. We'll do everything we can to help. Very much appreciate the jail for helping in the early moments with sandbagging. That is not a glamorous activity, and there were questions about who could get sandbags and where, and I know that Amy's team and some of the inmates there, I forget the total number, but thousands of sandbags were put together in a short amount of time, and there were a couple times, I think, Amy, when tractor-trailer trucks pulled up to get these sandbags, and I hope those stayed in Henderson County. I think they did, but at that point, you can't vet that too closely. You just got to do it and get those sandbags out, and so I appreciate that help. Again, it was very interesting for me to watch and see, and I'll be better at my job in those whole things the next time around. Hopefully, it won't happen for a long time. Thanks again for everybody who spoke this morning on some great programs that are happening. Congratulations again to Camden Henshaw. Best of luck to you and your family. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave. Good job, brother.